The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.
So good, so good, so good.
Everything you want for summer is at Nordstrom Rack stores now and up to 60% off. Stock up and save on the brands you love like Vince, Sam Edelman, Frame, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, May 11th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way, high 63. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 48. And then Tuesday, the sun reappears, sunshine, high 66. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 53 and cloudy in Smithtown out on Long Island, 52 and cloudy in East Hanover over in New Jersey, and it's 50 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
LIRR workers are ready to walk at the end of the week. 2 people in our area being monitored for the Hantavirus. The battle over a data center in New Jersey turns violent. A Bronx neighbor from hell is cuffed by cops. And moms talk about why they like being celebrated. All right, let's talk about celebrations right here at 5:01. The Knicks heading to the Eastern Conference Finals. They destroyed the 76ers. You watch any of this game yesterday? 144 to 114. In fact, the game was so lopsided that both teams sat their starters for the entire fourth quarter, which I didn't totally understand. I'm the part of the Knicks I did. But if you're the 76ers, even if you're down by 35 points, give the fans something to cheer about. But they did not. Knick guard Jalen Brunson talks about what it's able to finish the series off, the Sixers' 4 straight games.
I think the energy that we have, the focus is really important. It's a really cool feeling. It's something I said that I will always think is one of the coolest things in the world when you hear Knicks fans in opposing arenas, and it's a really cool feeling. It's honestly, it's a team effort, and when we're locked in, we're holding each other accountable, and when we're doing all the little things that may not show up on the stat sheet, and that's when we know we're clicking. We just got to continue to do that.
So the game was in Philly, but it sounded like it was at the Garden with so many New York fans in Philly to watch as the Knicks closed out the series. Knicks center Karl Anthony Towns said they did a great job.
It's great when you see your team doing what we're doing and, having that kind of focus and discipline and execution. I've always said that the toughest game is the one that ends someone's season.
Yeah, so New York will play Detroit or Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals in the next round. We'll hear from fans who were in Philly to watch the Knicks. That'll come up after 5:30. And, of course, at 5:15, all the details of that big win from Justin Ellick. MTA Chair Jano Lieber says formal negotiations with Long Island Railroad unions will resume today. 5 unions threatening to walk off the job on Saturday if they can't reach a deal by then. But Lieber says he believes they are getting close to an agreement.
This would be crazy for these unions to go on strike and hurt their workers where there's an opportunity to close a deal right now.
Yeah, so the MTA chair says the agency has offered some new proposals and the union must respond. However, the unions say they are not close to a deal. But here's more from the MTA chair, Jano Lieber.
If you go on strike for one day, you are literally flushing money down the toilet for your workers.
No, that's true.
And I don't think these unions really want to do that. We are close enough that we should be able to resolve this.
So the deal is there 3 years of the deal are essentially eventually done. They're having some issues with the fourth year of the deal, but what the contract says is they would get about a 15% raise. We will hear, by the way, from some of those unionized workers and their gripes coming up after 5:30. Speaking of the commute, if you take the New York Waterway, you're going to pay more starting this morning.
It's a temporary surcharge, according to the company, averaging 5.5% to offset the rising cost of fuel. Commuters are taking it in stride.
Everything's ridiculous right now.
I'm not surprised that there's an increase in anything.
Like, it all went up, so it's not a surprise. It just is what it is.
In a letter to customers, New York Waterway blames world events beyond our control and says the price it pays for fuel is up 80% since January. It says it will update customers once the temporary surcharge can be lifted. I'm Larry Kofsky.
5:04, police fatally shot a man who viciously stabbed his disabled mother at their Long Island home on Mother's Day. Southampton cops responding to what they called a domestic situation at a Riverhead residence. This was on Topping Drive about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Neighbors were watching on, wondering what was going on.
They were just flying down the street. I mean, every possible unit, Southampton, Quag came in, West Hampton came in, Riverhead, Northampton.
When officers arrived at the home, they reportedly found the son actively stabbing his mother. He was shot and killed by officers with the Southampton Town Police Department after he refused to put down a knife.
We've all been brainwashed into thinking, oh, not in my backyard.
Yep.
This doesn't happen in my community. This doesn't happen in my neighborhood, but it does.
Unfortunately, it happens every neighborhood. Now, the mother who sustained several stab wounds in this harrowing attack, she was rushed to a local hospital. We're told she has some serious injuries, but they do expect her to recover. Now, they haven't released any of the names, the victim or the stabber here. She is confined to a wheelchair, described by her neighbors as a quiet woman who's lived on the block for years and apparently has suffered years of domestic abuse, allegedly at the hands of one of her sons. Now, she has triplet boys with at least two of them, this is from neighbors, suffering from mental illness.
She's lovely, a beautiful woman. I believe that her son just had some mental issues and going through some things. Beautiful, lovely lady.
Yeah, so the woman who was not identified made at least one 911 call yesterday stating that she had become afraid of her son. Now, 3 Southampton police officers were also taken to the hospital after this to be treated for unknown injuries. They have been released. Over to Paterson, New Jersey, where it was an awful evening. 7 people reportedly shot in Paterson, New Jersey last night. This happened about 9 o'clock, intersection Rosa Parks Boulevard, Goodwin Avenue. Graphic video shows at least 2 shooting victims on the ground, with police forcefully holding down another man who was asking for help for his brother. Now, the Paterson City Councilman, Alex Mendez, he was at the scene, ran inside for cover when he heard the shots, and then he came back out to see exactly what had happened.
So multiple people got shot right here. My office is a block away from here. I was working with all my volunteers, and I hear all the shooting. So it was scary. I mean, the city's out of control.
Now, what we were being told by Paterson police early this morning is they were still gathering evidence at the scene. We don't know if a gunman's in custody. They plan to release a few more details this morning. A popular high school tradition, raising safety concerns at one local high school on Long Island.
The game known as Senior Assassin pits fellow classmates against each other in an elimination battle with water or toy guns. However, some of those toys look pretty legit, as Nassau Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder tells ABC7.
I hate to say it this way, but it's not acceptable. You know, you can't have kids running around with guns that look like guns.
Ryder says cops have recently responded to 3 different reports of people mistaking the toy guns as real weapons.
If we have a person with a gun at the school and we got a 911 call coming in, we're coming. And we're coming with emergency service.
He also said cops have been monitoring social media to get ahead of any incidents. Nassau Police sent out flyers to county schools putting the trend on their radars. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:09. Diplomatic efforts to forge a peace deal between the U.S. and Iran appear to have hit a wall. Each side accusing the other of making unreasonable demands, even as continuing tensions in the Strait of Hormuz are sending oil prices to new highs this morning. The U.S.-Israel war on Iran, it's in its 73rd day. So last night, President Trump flatly rejected Iran's latest proposal to end the war without giving any real details. This was days after the U.S. floated an offer in hopes of reopening negotiations. But Iran on Sunday released a response focused on ending the war on all fronts, especially in Lebanon. They say that has to be part of the deal, the Israel-Lebanon war. Tehran's proposal includes ending the naval blockade of the strait and lifting U.S. and international sanctions while preserving Iran's control over its nuclear program and foreign policy. Those are issues that Washington cited that launched the war, so there's no way they're going to go back on that. Oil prices climbed after President Trump's statements last night. International benchmark crude up 2.5% to $104 a barrel. That was early this morning. Meanwhile, you have the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations says President Trump is giving diplomacy a chance as the war in Iran continues. But Mike Waltz says that patience could run out. He was on the Sunday shows yesterday.
That's up to President Trump as commander-in-chief to determine what constitutes a violation, when to go back to military action, or when to continue to give diplomacy a chance.
Now, over the weekend, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said a fundamental problem is that Iran is trying to establish control over the Strait of Hormuz. And he says that's a no-go.
Is the world going to accept that Iran now controls an international waterway? Because if the world is prepared to accept that, then be ready. Because there's like 10 other countries that are going to start doing the same thing in their international waterways, in international waterways near their country.
Now, back here, everybody is trying to adjust to the higher prices of oil, what it's doing to everything. Fast food chains are leaning in more heavily into their value meals to try to lure customers that are squeezed by the soaring gas prices.
Value is a very big deal right now. The low-income consumer is really pressured by inflation. About 3 in 10 visits are based on some form of deal.
Yes, a restaurant business editor-in-chief, that's Jonathan Mays, talking about some of these deals.
A lot of restaurants are paying close attention to what is going viral on social media, and they are trying to jump on board.
Yeah, so correspondent Emily Aikita reports some restaurant chains emphasizing those deals just as a way to get people in the front door.
Despite uncertainty from the war, McDonald's this week reporting sales grew nearly 4% in the U.S. from a year earlier. Better than expected success, with the company's CEO saying McDonald's is not going to get beat on value.
McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, they are actually reported strong sales to start the year, but other chains like Papa John's, Shake Shack, they have not done well. Those who make a living on the road are struggling too with these high gas prices, some of them speaking out over the weekend. That includes rideshare drivers.
Gas prices increased almost over $1 in the last month, and drivers are not making any more money.
Yeah, I was in an Uber over the weekend, and the driver was bitterly complaining about the fact he's making less right now. Autumn Weintraub, who heads the App Drivers Union, says other delivery services have started adding this gas surcharge that for some reason rideshare apps cannot add that. I don't know. There's some sort of deal, I guess, in each state.
The fares are not increasing. They can't increase the fares because they don't control them. And so they're basically eating the costs with gas prices going up and their rates of pay from each ride going down. They're hurting worse than ever.
And the White House over the weekend, they put out Energy Secretary Chris Wright says President Trump is open to all ideas to help lower gas prices. Wright was asked about possible measures, including suspending the federal gas tax. This was during an interview with NBC's Meet the Press yesterday.
All measures that can be taken to lower the price at the pump and lower the prices for Americans, this administration is in support of.
So his comments come as gas prices hit a national average yesterday, $4.52. That's according to AAA. That's an increase of more than 50% since the start of the war.
We're open to all ideas. Everything has trade-offs. All ideas to lower prices for American consumers and American businesses.
Now, it is bad here, but when you look at California, they're paying over $6 a gallon on average this morning. The first plane carrying passengers evacuated from that cruise ship hit by the deadly Hantavirus outbreak took off, landed on the Spanish mainland yesterday. This is after that cruise arrived off the coast of Spain's Canary Islands early Sunday morning. Those on board were being transferred by smaller boats and put on sealed-off buses to the airport. 6 people have been confirmed infected with the hantavirus, and 4 are hospitalized. This is according to the World Health Organization. 3 have died, which include a Dutch couple and a German national. But we've got new numbers this morning that says an American has been confirmed to have the hantavirus, and another one could potentially have it. President Trump over the weekend was downplaying some of the concerns over the hantavirus, saying that he doesn't think it's as transferable or transferable as some Americans may think. Of course, people see the hantavirus and the way it is spread, and they worry it's going to be something like the COVID pandemic. And he says that's not the case.
We seem to have things under very good control. They know that virus very well. It's been around a long time. Not easily transferable, now, unlike COVID.
The CDC dispatched staffers to the Canary Islands over the weekend to escort those Americans off the hantavirus-stricken cruise ship.
We have very good people studying it very closely.
And the CDC director says the hantavirus will not lead to a pandemic. He was trying to calm people over the weekend as well.
This is not the COVID, Jake, and we don't want to treat it like COVID. We don't want to cause a public panic over this. We want to treat it with the hantavirus protocols that we're successful in containing outbreaks in the past.
Okay, now again, a U.S. and a French passenger evacuated from the hantavirus-hit cruise ship in the Atlantic both have tested positive for the virus. So we'll follow that story. And coming up after 5:30, some locals who are being monitored for this virus, we'll hear from them. But first, 5:16, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Monday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Monday. Good morning to you, Noam Liddon. Start out here in Philly. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and the Knicks are back in the Eastern Conference Final, tying the NBA postseason record with 25 three-pointers in front of a raucous crowd, rooting for the road team and rolling past the 76ers 144-114 to sweep the second-round series. Deuce McBride started in place of the injured OG Anunoby and hit 7 three-pointers, going 4 for 4 in the first quarter when the Knicks had another record with 11 and scored 25 points. Brunson had 22 points, and Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns each scored 17. Then the Knicks' latest lopsided playoff victory. Their 19.4 point per game margin of victory is the largest through 2 rounds since the playoffs went to 16 teams in 1984.
Wow, that's big.
Yeah, huge. They've been playing, obviously, great basketball.
Have you seen, I can't remember ever seeing that many hometown fans in another person's arena at any game. I mean, sometimes you get that like late in the football season when a team is playing really badly. But this felt like it was overwhelmingly Knicks fans in Philly. Like there was hardly any Philly fans there.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're really only playing a second half for formality purposes, they're up so big going into that second half. It wasn't really much of a contest thereafter. And so any 76ers fans that were still in the building for that second half, I'm not really sure what they were doing there. So
this was my question, though. If I'm a Sixers fan, I'm mad that the team sat the starters for the entire fourth quarter. Yeah. They gave up. And I said, why would I sit in the stands if you're not even going to... Why wouldn't you... Well, I didn't understand that. Take the starters out last game of the season for the entire fourth quarter? Yeah, chances are they weren't coming back, but at least try. An appearance that they're going to try to make it come back.
Yeah, I mean, I understand not having Embiid out there, right? He's shaken up. But, everybody else, other guys, Tyrese Maxey should be out there.
Why are you sitting him? It makes no sense to me.
I'm with you. But again, you're down that much heading into the third and fourth quarters. Obviously, the hometown fans, the ones that were there. I mean, there was a lopsided attendance from the start, but the Philly fans that were there in the second half, they started to trickle out. And at a certain point, the Wells Fargo Center was just filled with exclusively Knicks fans, for the last few minutes of that game. And you heard it for sure. So the Knicks advance to the East Finals for the second straight season. They'll play the winner of the Cleveland-Detroit series, where the Pistons lead 2-1. Also, last night, Timberwolves beating the Spurs 114-109 in the Western Conference semifinals, Game 4 there. That series now knotted at 2 games apiece. tonight at 8 p.m. You'll get a pickup of that Pistons and Cavaliers series, Eastern Conference semifinals. Game 4 there, of course, as aforementioned, Detroit leading that series 2-1. And 10:30 p.m. tonight, the Thunder and the Lakers will pick it up there. Western Conference semifinals, Game 4, OKC leading the series 3-0. They can complete the series sweep tonight. Let's head to the Diamond in Milwaukee. Yanks lost 4-3 in their series finale against the Brewers. They get swept in the 3-game series over the weekend. Up next for them, they'll open a 3-game series at Baltimore tonight at 6:35. Ryan Weathers will get the start in the opener of a 3-game series there. And in Arizona, the Mets fell 5-1 in their series finale against the Diamondbacks, dropping 2-3 to Arizona over the weekend. Up next for the Mets, the righty Freddie Peralta will start the opener of a 3-game series in Detroit starting tomorrow night. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 521. Getting more details on this Frontier flight that was from Denver bound for Los Angeles. It was cleared to take off on Friday when it was suddenly forced to abort due to a pedestrian on the runway. They hit that pedestrian. This was the flight's message to air traffic controllers.
All right, 4345. We have 231 souls on board. We have 21,320 pounds of fuel on board. There was an individual walking across the runway.
Yeah, so the passengers were evacuated. They were bused to the terminal. Chaotic scene on board the flight from Denver that was headed to LAX that hit and killed someone on the runway late Friday night. Muhammad Hassan was on the plane.
Honestly, I think it's probably like the scariest experience of my life. I was on the flight, and then I looked to my right, and I just see like a fire, you know. I heard like a loud boom. People started screaming and stuff.
Yeah, so Denver International Airport says this guy just bolted through security. He hopped over a gate, ran onto the tarmac where the plane hit and killed him. That started a fire in an engine that filled the cabin with smoke, and the plane had to be evacuated.
I thought I was going to die. A lot of people next to me were screaming and crying.
Yeah, I bet.
Because we were just about to take off, and I heard that boom, so I wasn't sure what happened. So, I don't know, I just thought like something like really, really bad happened.
Yeah, they spent the weekend sorting this out, like how this guy bolted through security, got onto the tarmac. That's frightening in itself. And of course that he was hit and killed. 12 people were hurt on the plane. 5 went to the hospital. They did, eventually get all these people on another flight who were okay, and they made it to LAX. 5:23, the Pentagon on Friday declassified those UFO files accessible to the public. So of course everybody all weekend looking through them. The Department of War released never seen before files that were related to alien life, extraterrestrial life, now put into one place, no clearance required, as they said. Tucked away in the files was an audio recording of Gemini 7 astronauts Frank Borman and Jim Lovell reporting an unidentified object during a space mission more than 60 years ago.
Roger. Gemini 7, is that the booster or is that an actual sighting?
Yeah, so the department said it'll be releasing new materials on a rolling basis, will likely be posted every few weeks. In a Truth Social post, the president said now the American people can fully decide for themselves when it comes to their opinions on whether there are aliens in outer space. 5:24, out to California. Governor Gavin Newsom's brand new plan to give a month's worth of free diapers to the parents of newborns coming under fire. Republican candidate for governor Steve Hilton says the details just don't add up. $20 million for 400 diapers for 100,000 babies works out to 50 cents a diaper. And in a video on social media, he can be seen in a Target store pointing out that diapers cost 16 cents a piece. He calls Newsom's plan some sort of scam.
Cronies of his are going to make money, and that is what is wrong with California. Instead of just cutting taxes so you can afford diapers and sending it out in this ridiculous bureaucratic scheme.
Yes, Hilton says the company Newsom partnered with for the diapers, Baby to Baby, has ties to Newsom's wife. 5:25, President Trump, he was honoring mothers over the weekend who lost children ahead of the Mother's Day holiday. He delivered remarks from the White House from the Rose Garden.
And we have a lot of the greatest people on earth, angel moms. They're with us today. They're great people. They've been through so much. And
The president hosting mothers of children that were killed by illegal immigrants, as well as mothers of military service members who died while in service.
I got to know so many of you during my first days of running. I got to know you and I got to love you. But we want to thank you for being here. Mother's Day, it's one of the great days. I always think so fondly of my mother. I had a wonderful mother.
And then some of those mothers brought along some of their kids.
Oh, God, it's too early to cry, but she's very special, very independent, strong black woman, and she raised me to be who I am, so I appreciate her always.
She's absolutely the best. She's like the kindest person, such an angel, so thoughtful, like makes us all feel so special and loved. Like, can't say enough good things about her.
Yeah, what a nice if you're the mother of that child, you must be feeling pretty good. 526, Savannah Guthrie renewing her calls now to help find her missing mother.
Nancy Guthrie went missing from her Tucson, Arizona area home more than 3 months ago. Police believe she was taken against her will, but have no suspects in the case. The Today host posted a Mother's Day message on social media yesterday, asking for anyone with information to contact police. Savannah Guthrie said any information can be given anonymously and the reward is still available. The family themselves have offered $1 million for details that lead to Nancy's discovery. Guthrie wrote, quote, "We will never stop looking for you. We will never be at peace until we find you." I'm Tammy Trujillo.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, May 11th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way. The high just 63. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 48. And then sunshine for Tuesday, high 66. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 53 cloudy in Smithtown out on Long Island. It's 52 and cloudy in East Hanover in New Jersey. And it's 50 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540. Knicks fans still celebrating the big win yesterday. Swept the 76ers, move into the Eastern Conference Finals. They just destroyed Philly. 144-114. This was at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, which is in Philadelphia, but they turned that arena into a home game for the Knicks. Now, you might remember during Game 3, which was also in Philly, 76ers fans, initially anyway, drowned out those Knicks fans that were there, but yesterday, you would have thought it was a home game, and the Knicks fans who were there said it was amazing.
I feel great. I feel like this is a chance for all the Knicks fans to come together in New York. Who cares about Philly? It's New York every day.
We're back, man. It's been 40 years since this title, man. We need this. We're finally back, man. I've been struggling my whole life, man, because of how terrible our team is, man.
Yeah, so the only resistance in Philly yesterday came from the 76ers public address announcer. Actually, it was his last time doing a game after 25 years of working for Philadelphia. But otherwise, you really would have thought it was a Knicks home game.
I'm ready for the championships.
We're dominant. New York energy. We have it this year. We're dominant. And this is just the beginning. Watch what I tell you. Trust what I tell you. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, so before the series began, you had some Sixers playing, calling on 76ers fans to hold on to their tickets, not let it be a repeat of 2 years ago when Knicks fans invaded the same arena. The team actually limited tickets to residents of Philadelphia area, doing something that the Pistons had done a year before. But then they actually even went as far as donating like 1,000 tickets to local community groups to fill the seats. But it did not work because the available tickets that flooded the secondary market, they all went, obviously anyway, to Knicks fans who drove down the turnpike to Philly to watch yesterday. Of course, more on this game coming up 5:45 with Justin Ellick. LIRR workers, they were rallying over the weekend looking for support with a possible strike less than a week away. Now, they gathered in Massapequa ahead of what would be the first walkout in decades. The LIRR unions want a 5% raise in the fourth year of their contract. That is the sticking point right now. The MTA is offering 3 years with a top raise of 3.5%. Here's Kevin Sexton. He's the National Vice President of the Brotherhood of Local locomotive engineers and trainmen.
For more than 3 years, this coalition is bargaining in good faith with the MTA. After countless bargaining sessions, mediation, and after 2 presidential emergency boards, we're still fighting for something that is very simple. A contract that keeps pace with the cost of living.
Now, the MTA chair, CEO Jano Lieber, said on Friday that the two sides were close to making a deal, but the unions, they say that's not true.
What do we want? Contract! What do we want? Contract!
We have stood together at the bargaining table. We have fought together, and if necessary, we will walk together.
Yes, so the next formal talks are set for today. The sides are working on what would be the 4th year of this contract. That is, riders are very nervous because they're going to say, how do we get into the city? How do we get to work if these trainmen walk off the job?
If it's going to cost us a lot more, then we're going to suffer. I'm unhappy about it. The prices have gone up a lot.
Now, over the weekend, the MTA shared its initial LIRR strike contingency plan for some 300,000 riders on its website, but none of it's great. It all involves buses and getting people to Jamaica, to a subway, into the city. When they did this decades ago, it was not pleasant for riders.
I know the workers work really hard. They're due their increases, especially in these difficult times. But I also see the MTA's point of view.
There was a rider yesterday. Management and the unions, again, they're going to meet at some point today. 544. 2 New Jersey residents being monitored now after they were potentially exposed to a person infected with the Hantavirus. After that person departed the cruise ship where 3 people died. 2 people were not passengers on the cruise ship, but their potential exposure happened during air travel. Officials say they traveled on the same plane with the person who was on the ship who had the Hantavirus. Again, 3 people have died from the outbreak tied to the ship. Now, doctors don't believe that these passengers likely caught it, but they say they're going to monitor them for a number of days.
I think the tricky thing here, as with many viruses, is that the symptoms are very nonspecific. It's fever, it's headache, it's fatigue, it's body aches and pains.
New Jersey Department of Health was notified by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention about the potential exposure, and they say they're monitoring the residents as a precaution, asking them not to go out and about.
They are showing no symptoms at this time that suggest that they might be infected with the virus.
This virus is not very well engineered for sustained transmission. That is, if person A infects person B, very rarely do you see a 3rd generation, a person C.
Meanwhile, here in the city, the health department sent an advisory to doctors in the city, alerting them to be aware of the Hantavirus outbreak. They say doctors should ask patients about any potential links with the cruise ship if they're showing signs of an illness that may be Hantavirus. In a moment, we'll tell you how they're trying to get rid of what's called surveillance pricing in New York. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 546, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. Out in Philly, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and the Knicks, they're back in the Eastern Conference Finals, tying the NBA postseason record, 25 three-pointers in front of a raucous crowd rooting for the road team. And rolling past the 76ers, 144-114 to sweep the second-round series. The Knicks advance to the East Finals for the 2nd straight season, and we'll play the winner of the Cleveland-Detroit series, where the Pistons lead 2-1. Also last night out in Minnesota, Timberwolves beating the Spurs 144-109 in the Western Conference semifinals. That series now knotted at 2 games apiece following Game 4. Tonight, you get the pickup of that Pistons and Cavaliers Eastern Conference semifinal series at 8 p.m. Cavs 3.5-point favorites heading into Game 4. Of course, Detroit again leading that series 2-1. And tonight, the Thunder wrap it up with the Lakers. They're up 3-0 heading into Game 4 tonight. 10:30 p.m. start there. OKC heading in as 10.5-point road favorites against the Lakers. And let's head to the Diamond in Milwaukee. Yankees lost 4-3 in their series finale against the Brewers, getting swept in the 3-game series over the weekend. Up next for the Yanks, they'll open a 3-game series at Baltimore tonight at 6:35 p.m. Ryan Weathers will get the start in the opener of a 3-game series there. And in Arizona, the Mets fell 5-1 in their series finale against the Diamondbacks, dropping 2 of 3 to Arizona over the weekend. weekend. Up next for the Mets, the ready Freddie Peralta will start the opener of a 3-game series in Detroit starting tomorrow night. That is your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Hey, Joe, I saw that great picture you put up yesterday of your mom and your dad. That pose picture, and I couldn't help but notice, and I can't be the first one to tell you this, that you look exactly like your dad.
Oh, yeah. I do. And then one of my sons looks like me, and his son looks like him, too. So it's really pretty funny. If you took pictures of my grandson, Liam, and then put them next to pictures of my father when he was young, they're clones. They're the exact same person. It's really weird.
Those genes are strong, I guess. Those
Yeah, something strong. Finally,
How are you feeling? Because everybody keeps asking me to ask you that. How are you doing?
I'm feeling good. Things are getting better every day. Everything's a little bit better. Everything's coming back. I mean, it was pretty bad there for a while, but now it's all starting to come back. So it's all, it's not starting. It's really getting better as every day goes by.
Good. Well, you sound fantastic.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
We're happy you're on the mend.
Alrighty.
5:50. There is legislation now in New York State that would ban surveillance pricing. State Attorney General Letitia James says online and brick and mortar retailers are using personal data to set prices for individual shoppers.
Predatory pricing schemes use algorithms to analyze where you live, your spending habits, and even whether or not you're in a hurry, all to determine the highest price that you will pay.
So she is urging lawmakers to pass what's called the One Fair Price package, which would make surveillance pricing illegal in New York State.
They think they understand what you would be willing to pay. And then, in other words, they rip you off.
That's Beth Finkel with the New York's AARP. James says that surveillance pricing is an affordability. It threats the affordability for New Yorkers. The legislation would not end things like discount or loyalty programs, just this idea that each person pays a different price depending on the information the retailer has about you. 5:51, Governor Hochul granting pardons to 19 individuals over the weekend who she says has demonstrated remorse and rehabilitation. The pardons bring Hochul's total grants of clemency since taking office to 139, which include 119 pardons, 20 commutations. The governor says the individuals this time receiving the pardons have lived crime-free lives for a significant period of time, in most cases for more than 20 years, and have made positive contributions to their communities. They range in age from 35 to 75 years old. Their original conviction dates from 1971 to 2015. Now, the oldest recipient is a man, Dr. Mikkel Abdul Maten. He's 75. He was convicted of attempted robbery in 1971. The most recent conviction among this group that were pardoned was 35-year-old Adrian Pena, who was convicted of burglary in the third degree back in 2015. 5:52. Manhattan congressional candidate Jack Schlossberg is calling for the federal government to turn the current annual tax credits for parents into what he's calling a monthly mom bonus. Schlossberg is running to replace Jerry Nadler, who's retiring from the House after more than 3 decades. His own mother, Caroline Kennedy, she was on hand to lend her support at this press conference yesterday on the Upper East Side. Schlossberg says he wants to increase funding for tax credit by redirecting appropriations proposed for President Trump's East Wing ballroom. Not sure he's able to do that, but that's his proposal.
Trump wants $1 billion for the ballroom. I want $1 billion for moms and working families.
You know what I noticed about this press conference yesterday? He's really tall. I didn't realize how tall he was. Schlossberg is running against a nearly dozen other Democrats for the party's nomination in the 12th district on the Upper West Side. At least 5 Republicans are running as well. The Democrat and Republican, of course, who win next month's primaries will face off in the November election. 5:53, I want to give you an update to a story we did last week about this Bronx neighbor from hell. This was the neighbor who was in a building in Williamsbridge who was walking the halls with an axe in his hand, knocking on doors. Other times he was seen with a knife. He's 28-year-old Anthony Aracozo. Here's how neighbors were complaining about him last week.
Well, he's the worst neighbor from hell that I've ever ran across.
Sometimes we scared to go to the hallways. Why? Because he be in the hallways. He bangs people's door with poles.
He stands in the hallway out of his mind, naked sometimes.
Yeah, so Anthony was picked up by police on Friday. We come to find out he'd been arrested twice before. In this latest case, he was harassing a 16-year-old kid. They thought he was putting the family at risk. Here's the mom.
I'm the one that has to come in and out of this building. My kids is the one that have to come in and out of this building. No one's protecting us. So it puts me more at risk.
Now, the question is, when he's released, and if he wasn't released over the weekend, I have not had a chance to check, will he be allowed to go back to that building to terrorize those neighbors? Now, we know he hasn't paid rent in months, and they're working on evicting him from the building, but unsuccessful so far. Of course, we'll follow that story. 5:55. Over to New Jersey. Maybe you saw this video that went viral over the weekend in Andover, New Jersey, where they plan to introduce now an ordinance to ban AI data centers in the township following this really intense public meeting last week that ended with an altercation between police and a resident. Video of this incident was circulated widely on social media over the weekend as this one individual said he did not want this AI data center in his town. Now, the town stood to make $5 million on the deal, but they say there were environmental concerns.
Everybody has the right to voice their opinions and come together in a town without there being violence.
He starts swearing at the police officers, swearing at the committee.
That's Mayor Tom Walsh. He says the video does not show the full encounter as he fought with officers. He said the resident was removed after becoming disruptive. And then when they did vote on this thing, he got what he wanted. Most town members don't want the AI data center.
People are really concerned about that disturbing the environment and the way that we enjoy the environment around here.
Completely astounded. I really can't believe that this is happening. This community came together in a way that I never imagined it would to fight this thing.
Yes, so people oppose these data centers in their town primarily due to concerns over massive local power grid strain resulting in higher utility bills, more water consumption for cooling that can deplete local resources. And so that's why there's these battles across the country. And in Andover, they decided later today they will announce that no longer will an AI data center be built there. And in fact, won't be one in the future either.
It's not worth tearing the town apart for this. It was $5 million. $5 million. I guess no dollar value is worth tearing a town apart.
Yeah, that's the mayor of the town. Actually, I spoke wrong. The township will hold a meeting tomorrow to introduce that new ordinance.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.